let's get the one play out of the way that should have been a safety.
Dog, I mean, like,
should have been a safety.
Mario didn't say anything. He didn't refuse the halftime interview. He just cursed up a storm in the face of the sideline reporter who asked him. And I'm not even gonna go there. I know, like, it was only but 2 weeks ago that I went on that diatribe at the Clemson game. Jordan Travis, running for his life of his own independent volition and locomotion, went into the end zone and was tackled in the end zone. And even if you want to say, well, the ball didn't, Wesley Bassane actually got that ball out, right? So as he chops in and that ball is jumbled and everything, that means he didn't have possession of it in the field of play, which means it only could have been possessed where? In the end zone. It's clear as fucking day. I don't understand how. And I said I'm not going to yell and scream. I'm not going to go on the whole diatribe because I'm not going to do it. I wrote in The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. It's to the point where, like, the ACC should be fucking ashamed of themselves for blatantly and outright cheating Miami. Now, I said they cheated Miami on those plays. Like, we beat Clemson, we lost to Florida State. I'm not saying that play would have changed the outcome, right? But in the moments of contention or whatever, they should be fucking ashamed of themselves. It's plain as day, 2 times, and Mario said at the game, said that's twice. And everybody knows what he's talking about. There's no possible way other than other than intentional, like, formation. Like, they called down and said, make sure that that's not a safety for Florida State because we as the ACC are trying to get them to the ACC championship game. Now, again, they beat us. That would not have changed the end result. However, in that moment of leverage and everything, that play mattered, right? And to the point, the broadcast said it. This is the last thing I'm going to say because I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to do the whole normal Cam Underwood thing. I'm going to keep this nice and short. The broadcast called over to the replay booth and said, hey, halftime, you guys want to come over? Can we get an explanation? Can we get an explanation on the phone? I said, no, we're going to come over, but the referees, this is what they said on the broadcast. The replay booth said, we're going to come over and talk to you guys, right? There was another play. I think it was the pass interference that wasn't called against Florida State when they were trying to throw to Colby Young. And they called over there again. And we're like, hey, guys, can we get an explanation? Oh, wait, they didn't even ask the second time because first of all, the replay booth guys did not go over at halftime. And secondly, when they called subsequently for one other thing, and I think they did it again, they didn't even answer the phone, right? So you're hiding. You know that you're fucking wrong. It's bullshit and it needs to stop. I'm stopping there.
In regards to the rest of the game officiating, I've heard it from both sides in regards to it not being officiated correctly, leaning in both directions. So where do you stand on everything but the safety?
There were missed calls both ways. Like, honestly, I don't think that Emory Williams converted that 4th down scramble where he broke his arm. I don't think so. You know what I mean? I openly said that James Williams, that was a clear targeting. I don't know how you missed that. Like, he's 6'5", so, like, even when he bends down, he's going to be at head level with a 5'10", 6-foot player. But, I mean, crown of the helmet, launched into Jordan Travis's face. Like, I have no idea. And I even wrote in The Good, Bad, the Ugly. I said that was targeting. Plain and simple. That wasn't even a Miami targeting like an Amari Carter, you're big and strong and it looked bad targeting. That was like letter and intent of the law targeting. And I said, no, we're good. What? You know what I mean? So I just named 2 plays in which Miami benefited from, I think, bad calls, right? The scramble on 4th down, I do think that his knee touched when he was short on, replay review. Because I thought he dove, but it looked like that right knee hit as he was and then he kind of dove Emory. And then the clear targeting there. But I know that there were, again, you had the safety, you had the pass interference. I saw Tomahawk Nation on that play. They're like, oh, uncalled offensive pass interference. Get the fuck out of here. Your defender is dragging Colby Young down. Like, no. And again, this is as somebody who openly admitted when you first asked, what did I say? 2 calls in which Miami benefited. So I'm not somebody who says, oh, Miami will never benefit. But like that play, like the only way that you thought that was offensive pass interference on Miami and not defensive pass interference on Florida State is if you're a Florida State person looking for like, the narrative or the support or whatever. Like there's no way. So, I mean, there were bad calls both ways. I don't think that, because I leave the stats up for this very reason. Let's go to, where is it? Home team penalties. I mean, they only had 3 penalties. They had a holding. They had on offense they had 1 holding. They had a defensive holding on a 3rd down, and then they had unsportsmanlike conduct on Renardo Green. That was it, though. Like there wasn't even really that much that really went in the opposite direction for Florida State. But like even with that being said, I don't think that the officials really did well. I think that they let the teams play a little bit throughout the game. And I mean, you love seeing that in a Miami Florida State game where like they're not stepping in on every single play. Like let the guys talk a little bit, let them, be a little bit physical or whatever. But I thought the officials were pretty bad. But I mean, it starts and ends with the safety. Again, it's unacceptable.
Okay. What are you proud of coming out of this game, or less emotionally just think was a bright spot of performance execution, and what didn't meet standards?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but like being competitive, honestly, we got blown out in this game by 6 touchdowns last year. And I mean, I wrote it at the top, a good, bad, and the ugly. Like, it's a moral victory. It completely and totally is. I hate them. It sucks. I get it. And like I wrote it and said, like, I know that y'all are going to roast me in the comments. And they did and are continuing to. And I get it. I loved the second quarter of the game. Miami 10-3 in the second quarter, won that quarter, won it with 129 yards of offense to Florida State having 1 yard of offense, going 3 and out all 3 times that they had the ball. Like, I mean, if you're looking for something, there's that. I mean, the defense played their behinds off. Like Florida State, like they took FSU out of a lot of what they like to do. They're physical in the run game. They were physical in the passing game. Both starting corners out. So you have Jadaise Richard and Damari Brown, the younger of the Brown brothers, getting the starts at corner. I mean, he holds Keon Coleman to 24 yards receiving. I know that he did have the 1 touchdown, and then he also got loose on the 1 punt return. That was really kind of bad coverage. They overran it. But still, even with plays being overrun, sometimes you don't see returns like that. So, I thought that the linebackers played really well. Like Wesley Bastainth had a career day. So did Francisco Mauinoa. Corey Flagg was always in the right place. Cam Kinchins fought through a foot injury through the second half of that game. James Williams was, big and physical. Like I said, he even should have gotten ejected for that targeting. But, I mean, he made his physical presence felt repeatedly in that game. The running game was really solid. And then we missed a couple holes in the run game that would have really changed things. There was a 3rd down where Mark Walton, excuse me. Let's try that again. Flashback. Sorry, brain wires got crossed in this rain. Mark Fletcher ran up the middle, and there's a hole like yay big on the screen to the right. And he just has to, hit that R2 jump step, and then he goes. You convert that one. You keep that drive going. And just over the course of, the first half, I thought went well. I know that we did get down early, but you come out on the first play and you throw the ball on, because we got the ball 1st and 10 on the 2 after a Florida State punt. But you come out, you throw vertical. Emory's like, oh, I can do this and everything. You go in, get that field goal to be tied at halftime. After that dominant second quarter, but then throughout the entire second half, like I think that this was at the direction of Mario Cristobal because, like, again, he's the head coach, and I know that Shannon Dawson's the play caller, but like, just took the air out of the ball and just got more and more conservative, and that's the thing that we've talked about with Cristobal. And it was just like, it was inside run, pass short of the sticks. Maybe you make a guy miss, maybe you don't, but then punt. The whole second half, so like that left much to be desired. You know, you had a couple drops there and everything. And then just at the end, I mean, it's another game with a Tyler Van Dyke interception. But the last thing that I wrote in the good, the bad, the ugly, and credit to who was the color analyst? Greg McElroy? It wasn't Greg McElroy.
Yep.
It was? Oh, okay,
Yep.
him. But look, you come in off the bench, only went 2 for 8 or whatever it was. But on fourth in the ball game, they draw up a him play, right? So this is not about reading the field. This is a throw the ball to him play, right? For your guy, former roommate, because he doesn't live with him anymore, leading receiver, your bestie in the world, Xavier Restrepo. They draw up a him play for number 7. Say it's on the left hash. We're gonna put you on a half roll. We're gonna have a short switch release. You're gonna have a spot route there with Brashard, and then you're gonna have the outcut from Xavier, right? You're gonna run that other corner off. Who's gonna be playing man to man with a 9 route. So you got to create this huge window on the right sideline. I mean, not even sideline. It was from the sideline inside the right hash. You had half the damn field. Throw the ball. And with a him play for your favorite receiver on the season, you refuse to cut it loose. Like, if ever there was anything that displayed the levels of mental anguish that he is in, right? You draw a play up and say that was all y'all do whatever you want. Xavier, you're gonna go down to this is Sandlot stuff. This is recess at the Waldorf School in Detroit stuff. 8 steps, busting out. The ball will be there. I'm not looking at Nick. I'm not looking at Sage. I'm not looking at Ricky. I'm not looking at nobody else. You go do this, and we're gonna throw you the ball. Him play. That was the only play you could have made. And he refused to throw the ball. This man has issues, and they're not physical. They are mental. They are behind his eyes and between his ears. He is broken. And also your starting quarterback for the rest of the season, because Emory Williams reportedly has a compound fracture of arm, elbow, somewhere in there. Also reportedly had surgery already, but Mark Cristobal concretely did say that he is out for the season. Will be hopefully a full go for spring. Did not detail what the injury is, but from those multiple reports, that is what it is. But again, this is the issue with having very light depth at quarterback, because your one play was that dive on 4th down, snapped his arm, and now you're back with Tyler Van Dyke starting. So I mean, there were performance things to like, there were performance things to not like from the Florida State game. It did start to get away from us a little bit. And they ran that counter tray last year over and over and over again. It almost looked like the North Carolina game from 2020, where they just ran counter for 8 million yards. And they only hit it twice with Trey Benson. But damn it, those two, boy. Like, it was a 25-yarder on 3rd and 7 and then a touchdown run. You know what I mean? Like, they only hit it twice, but when they hit it, man, it was really impactful. So, again, yeah, lots to like. Still room to grow. But in the end, that's a 3rd consecutive loss, and that's 10 out of the last 14 for Florida State. Like, you got to win it next year. Like, you cannot keep losing these. I mean, Mario's now in this one, right? And these are the games in which you are measured. Like, Lloyd Carr got fired from Michigan because he lost like 5 of his last 6 to Ohio State. John Cooper famously went 2-14-1 against Michigan as Ohio State's coach.
Don't give us 4 more.
Huh?
I said, don't give us 4 losses more. 2-10-1.
I swore it was more than 10. Okay, 2-10-1. I thought it was more than that. I'm sorry, excuse me. But it was to that point where it was just like, hey. Like, even with all the rest of the win, like, we talked a couple weeks ago about how Penn State beats everybody but Ohio State and Michigan, right? But for John Cooper, he beat everybody but Michigan. And that's enough to get you run, right? And now I'm not saying that even if we have a 3rd consecutive loss under Cristobal, 4th overall to Florida State next year, that Cristobal will be run or anything. But, like, eventually, that's the thing that rises to the top of the line when you talk about should a coach stay or should a coach go. And again, backing that up, also 5 in a row and 9. What was it? 5 in a row and 7 out of 9 to North Carolina. Like, you know, it's like one thing if it's like, okay, well, it's Florida State, but then it's just like, and Carolina, and like, you know, so again, lots to like. It is a lot of, you know, the moral victory kind of stuff because, like, yeah, and also for me, I got to do it. Shout out to my guy Donald Chaney Jr. 6 carries for 85 yards in the second quarter alone. You know what I mean? Like, it just there were bright spots. And I haven't even gotten to Jacoby George, 6 catches for 153 and 2 tutties. Now, I know he did catch the YOLO ball for 85 yards, but he caught it and made it happen. So, like, that's still a guy. Again, we can look at all these individual performances, but, like, it's just not enough yet. But definite steps in the right direction. But still, it leaves you with a sour taste in your mouth because I got to hear these people for another 360 whatever days.
First of all, a note to your readers here. Don't they understand that you're not into moral victories? You're not considering this a good thing or something to be celebrated, but there's something about saying, okay, our team is here, their team is here, therefore this is what I'm expecting. I got better than expected. We got some positive out of this. We got a fiercely competitive game. That's a good thing. Not the result, but the surpassing expectations against a top 4 team in the country.
Right. And like I've said, I don't honestly think that Florida State is a top 4 team in the country. Like, they're very gettable. I didn't think that we could get them this year, but like they've gotten so many bounces and breaks, man. Like, I think that it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. And again, been there and seen it. 2017. Like, they have a very good team. I'm not going to try and say that they're not, but like, as I watch these other teams every week who are like, you know, playoff contenders and whatnot, I think that there's a clear difference between them and Florida State. And I think that'll bear itself out if they make the playoff in the end. And if they go undefeated, they probably will and should, because undefeated speaks for itself. But yeah, in general, the performance I thought was better than, it was more competitive. I'm not going to say holistically that it was a better performance with only like 13 first downs and, you know, what were the Miami stats? 13 first downs, 4 out of 16 on third, 1 out of 2 on fourth. You know, 335 yards, but we outgained Florida State. You know what I mean? Like, we held it was 29-20 to 30 and 40. So it was basically even on time of possession. Like, there were some things, but like also it wasn't necessarily like a really good holistic performance in a vacuum. So yeah, but yeah, we got to go back to the drawing board. We got to keep moving forward. And crazy as it sounds and seems, if Miami wins out, that's a 9-win season. Like, it's on the table, right? Win the last 2 of the regular season, go 8-4, you win your bowl game, that's 9 wins. And I know a lot of people are like, Cam, come on. I'm just saying, right? I wrote it before the season. I said 7-5 proved me wrong. It looks like we're going straight there, you know. But still, you can have 7, 8, potentially 9 wins in this season. It doesn't feel like this is a 9-win season at all, but like it could be on paper at the end. So there's still a lot to work for. But as he returns to the lineup, Tyler Van Dyke got to figure it out, whatever it is. I mean, he think about it, pray about it, do a seance, dance in the rain right now. I don't know, but whatever you've been doing, change it up. I don't know. He's talking about, I got to talk to my grandfather who played collegiately. He coached a couple collegiate sports and call Grandpa Van Dyke then. Whatever you got to do. But whatever it is to get back to what we saw in September and previous would be great. But, I mean, yeah, it has to change. Kylo Ren, Miami Kane, appreciate the super chat there. Luckiest teams in America, OSU and FSU. Unbelievable. I don't know about, somewhat the first one, but the second one, I mean, Florida State, they look, and sometimes you have to get lucky along the way to a good season or to a great season. But they have definitely gotten lucky.
Kylo Ren, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Before we move on to I don't know what needs to be said about Tyler Van Dyke. You pretty much laid it out there in regards to whatever he needs to do to shake himself back straight and in the right direction. But in looking at Emory Williams' performance, it doesn't look pretty on the stat sheet, but I think some things that are pretty obvious need to be taken into consideration. He's starting against this team on the road, and it's a first start. Correct? Second start.
Clemson, after Tyler was hurt with the knee.
Oh, last year,
This
whatever.
year, like 3 weeks ago.
That's right. He started that game. Okay, so second start, first road start. And I don't remember there being dropped passes. So I'll put some of it on just lack of, he doesn't have those reps under his belt. And I'm talking about practice as well that TVD has with that same receiver core. You're not going to have that chemistry.
I mean, he got the majority of snaps this week going into the Florida State game. Mario Cristobal said that, it was told to him on Thursday that he would be starting. So, yeah, I mean, he had enough snaps and everything, and especially like seeing what they were running early in the pass game. But like, it just got to be all screens, everything. Florida State almost jumped one for a touchdown. I mean, it was just like it. And like, I know, like, okay, if you want to say that's an extension of the run game and everything, but in the first half, the run game was actually cooking. Even in the third quarter, the run game was cooking. You know what I mean? So, but it was just like, it was all horizontal stuff. It was all like this quick stuff. I mean, again, our offensive line is one of the best in America. He had time. There were pockets. You know what I mean? Like, it just, I think that Mario gave Dawson the conservatism. He hit the conservative button and just said, hey, dial it down. And I would have rather that he dialed it up. I would have rather that he was just like, look, this is our full offense. If he hits it, he hits it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. And like, I'm not saying be reckless with it, but that was a game that was there for the taking. And I really thought that a lot of the play calling in the second half was non-competitive. Like, even before Florida State got up 2 touchdowns, I said at the time, I was like, this is starting to look like when you call a game to keep it competitive and not get blown out on the scoreboard. I said that. And like, through the first half, you're being conservative and everything, and like, you're kind of doing that, but then you're tied at halftime, right? So you're like, okay, cool. But like, even coming out, shout out to Frank Ladson, another great play by not abandoning his area and, getting that off the onside kick to start the second half, which, I mean, I know people want to say, oh, well, that was ballsy that's a scared play from Florida State. Like, if Florida State is so much the better team, why are, like, you don't need to steal a possession? I thought that was really scaredy cat. And, Norvell talking about, oh, well, we were going to do that all week. I don't believe you. I don't believe you for a second. Like, I think that he started to panic a little bit with that. And good on, Frank for being there. But then, like, in that instance, I would have liked to see, go for something. You know what I mean? And just like, it was just so conservative and like, just so, we're playing not to get blown out. I'm like, it's a tie game though. We're playing not to get blown out. It's a 1-score game, and then, you get down by 2 scores and then like, fine, I'll throw a YOLO ball, which, should have been batted down, intercepted 2 or 3 times. It somehow teleports through both defenders. And, up the sideline goes Jacoby George for 85. But then it's like, cool, we're not going to do anything like that anymore, and like, as I'm looking, because I leave the stats up for this very reason.
What were you doing when that ball went through those 2 defenders?
Oh, it was a very no. Oh my God, yes! Like, it was a very yes moment because, like, yeah, I thought that was going to get intercepted on the trailing defender, a la Tyler Van Dyke when he's throwing those interceptions in the cover 2 hole, and then Kevin Knowles from down here, MacArthur High School, by the way. Shout out to him. But like coming over the top, I'm like, oh, there's no way that's getting through. Like, what do you? No, touchdown. You know, that was my reaction.
That play reminded me of the Saints-Vikings game about 4 or 5 years ago, where there was no way that the Vikings should have lost the game. There's like 13 seconds left in the game, and the Saints are at their own 30, 35-yard line. Breeze throws that ball, pretty much the same deal, right down the right sideline. And it's like the defender that's the safety that's coming over to the play got in between thinking, do I want to go for the ball? Do I want to go for the hit? And then at the last minute thinking, it was almost like two outfielders that are about to collide. And he's more concerned with, I don't want to collide with defending the play.
I take it, you got it. I take it, you got it. Oh my God, like the ball hit the ground. You know, wasn't it the other way? Wasn't it at the Minnesota? Wasn't it Stephon Diggs before he went to Buffalo?
The Saints would have won.
Home?
Yes.
Yeah, the Saints were on defense.
Cousins,
and that's when he was crying.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Yes.
But
Long,
right, no, I got you. I got you. Right,
yep.
But that's what it looked like. But I mean, you know, as I was looking up, as you were saying that, after a negative completion, so loss of 3 on a screen that almost went for a FSU touchdown to Jacoby George, Emory Williams missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 throws in a row. Most of them were short. Then he hit the YOLO ball, touchdown. Xavier Restrepo dropped the ball. Then he hit one to Brashard Smith, broke his arm, and that was that. But like 8 out of 23 for 175 and 2 touchdowns, like there's a lot going on there. Like, you know, like 20 yards of completion, buoyed by the 85. But so you're talking 7 completions for 90 and a touchdown, right? Outside of the YOLO ball. Like that's, and then you're not being diverse in the run game. You're not being dynamic in the run game after the like beginning of the third quarter. That's not really going to be competitive to win. But that shows how great the defense was on the day in stifling a Florida State offense where 7 completions for 90 yards and a touchdown on 22 attempts outside of the 1 YOLO ball was competitive. You know, so like it was great to see the Miami quarterback, whomever it was, well, up until the last throw, but you know, throughout the course of the game, not throwing the ball to the other team, but like objectively looking at like what the passing game was. Very bad. Very, very bad. Very, very bad.